And let's start recording. So the tutorial is here. Actually, we should maybe just start by looking at what we're doing this week. I put some stuff there. So we've got this tutorial and I put a Dropbox for you. Now I did mention the assignment. The assignment has become optional because, well, to be fair, some other classes, they felt that they had too much work and they didn't want to do the assignment. And so because they're not having to do it, you don't have to do it either. All right. But if you want to do it, that's fine. Maybe people that really like to do that, we can look at some way that I can reward them for that. I don't know, extra marks or something like that. I don't know, but it is not required. And so you can get the full marks for the course without doing the assignment. But I'm not discouraging you from doing that because you might find that by doing that assignment, it helps you prepare for the exam. So it's still, I think, an all right idea. So the other thing there is just the tutorial, and we'll talk about the tutorial now. And yeah, then so maybe the next lesson, we can talk about any revision information that I've got that I can help you with for the exam. Now, I did put a note there because tomorrow I have a meeting, which is a department meeting, and the department meeting is between 9 and 10. So our class is supposed to start at 9:40. I'm going to be in a meeting. So let's start at 10:15 instead. Does that sound fair? So it's not that there's no class, it's just that we'll start later. So that's what we'll do tomorrow. I hope it's okay. So let's look at this exercise. This exercise, it says it's a comprehensive tutorial. Comprehensive meaning that it covers everything that we sort of should be able to do with Python. And so if you look at it, you'll see that we've got this structure here where what's going to happen is you're going to put in a number. The number must be between 0 and 100. And from that number, it's going to give you a grade. Now that is going to be implemented with if, elif, elif, elif. Now, if you have an if, elif structure, then what's going to happen is only one of those things is going to be true. You have multiple options of which only one can be true. And so that's perfect for that, because when you have a grade score, you're going to have only one option out of many. So that's going to work. So we're going to, the person is going to have to put in their grade, and from their grade, we're going to get a grade point. So grade point is going to be a number between 0 and 4, which relates to their grade, and their grade then is going to be a letter of the alphabet from a letter A to F. But the thing is about this program is it's not just for one subject. It's a GPA, and GPA, the A in GPA is average. And so we've got an average that we've got to do. So as soon as you hear average, you should think you already have an idea how to do that, I hope, which is you're going to have a count, which is going to start from 0, and a total that's going to start from 0. You're going to have a while loop, and then you're going to get your total. You're going to add to your total inside the while loop, add to your count, and then at the end, you're going to divide the total by the count, and that'll give you your average. So we're going to do an average. That's how we get the GPA, because as I said, the A in GPA is average. Here's just grade points. There's no averages there. So the thing is, what's going to happen in this program is you have to ask the user how many courses they're done, and we're going to take those courses. We're going to get their grade for each course, and we're going to get an average for it. So here's some sample runs. We ask the user for their name, and then we ask them for a course number, and we get a grade, we get a mark, and from that we get a grade, and then we print stars. Now the stars are printed according to, like, if you got an A, that would be a GPA of 4, so therefore 4 stars. And if you have a GPA that's between 3 and 4, you can have 3 stars. And likewise, if your GPA is 2, you're going to have 2 stars. So that's how we're printing the stars there. We've got some other things going on here. Now, printing the stars, the best way to do that would be in a little while loop, and a while loop where we just print a star. And I'll show you that in a minute. Now we have some error trapping that we have to do. You can see we've got some errors. So one of the things about the, you can't put in a number, which isn't the number of courses must be an integer. Oh, I don't think I got that error trap in there. Oh, I guess maybe we can fix that. And the course number has to be a number which is 8 characters, and the first 4 characters have to be. Are we recording this? I think we are. Yes. The first 4 characters have to be alphabet, and the last 4 characters have to be numbers. And so those kind of error trapping. Now, how that looks is going to be something like this. I'm going to write, but I think we need to. I think I need to do some editing on that to make it exactly right. But let's just check. So we put in the name. What if we put 3.5? I don't think it's. Yeah. So we have to fix it. That part isn't quite working. So let's look at that. What it's asking us to do is we say how many courses that we're going to do. The number of courses that you're going to do. So that's C count. So what we would do is we would maybe put a while loop here. Let's say while, oh, you know what? We could just convert C count into an integer, or so that's what we've done here is we've converted it into an integer. So what we could do is take that off and just treat the string. We treat the string. So while C count, which is how many of these we're going to have, so that's a string. So we would say is numeric. Oh, no. So what we should do is this is kind of bad. I don't like this. I guess we could do it as a float. We could convert it to a float. No. Is there a thing for is an integer? Maybe there is. Let's see. Sorry, this one I'm. So Python isn't. See if that will work. See if there's such a thing. Check if a number is an integer or a decimal in Python. So how do we do it? Is instance. Float. That's kind of is instance. So that's the number. Okay, so I is a number. We check in to see if it's an integer. Oh, all right. I don't know why we didn't do this before. That we're throwing it into the. I don't know. So we'll try this. I'm sorry. I thought I had the program working, but I hadn't tried that. I hadn't done this thing for that. So while let's have a look at that again. Is instance int? Yeah. Wow. All right. True. So it's gonna print true. Get to check. Type is instance. Is instance. It's gonna. All right. So I guess it's like this. Is instance. And we put this, and we ask it if it's an integer. And so while it's not, then what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to print and say, must be an integer. And sort of ask them to do it again. And so, I can convert C count to an integer. I mean, to be honest, I don't really see the point in this. because we could convert it to an integer, but if the person puts in a number which is not an integer, well, I mean, we could do a float. Must be an integer. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm sort of messing around with this. So we're asking them to put in an integer. I'm not sure that this, see, this is going to just take a number.
Oh, hello, sir.
All right. We can convert it to an integer. That'll make it work. But not that way. So
What is that?
it's all right. I'm messing about here anyways. I'm gonna do it like this and we'll see what happens. So still gonna get that error if we type in anything that's not an integer. Can't be bothered. Let's run it. It's still going to come. Let's just do it with everything's an integer. We're just going to assume that it is. So how many courses you taking? Let's say we're taking 3 courses. What's your course code for number 1? Let's say you have a Bodgy course number. Then the course has to consist of 4 letters and 4 digits. It'll keep giving you that as long as you have the wrong one. And so as soon as you put the right one, then it's going to ask you for a grade. And it's going to convert the grade, a mark. It's going to convert that to a grade. And then it's going to print the number of stars. And then it's going to ask you for another code. And then it's going to ask you for another grade. And then it's going to give the, oh, we still got A's. Let's do another grade that isn't an A. And so 67.4, and that's a D plus. And then we get a GPA, which is worked out as an average of those. So when I say an average, we got a 4, and a 1. I guess if you added those together, 4 and 4 is 8, and 1 is 9 divided by 3. It should be 3 exactly, but I guess that this was actually 1.5. D plus is actually a 1.5. But let's just check that and see if that's right. D plus is 1.5. So let's have a look at how you would get what we're doing there. I'm going to go through each of these functions now, one at a time, and so you can see what we're doing. Now this function here, pretty simple function. It has an input, which is a number, and it doesn't have any return value. There's no return value on this one. So what happens is you start off with a counter, integer 0. And as long as the counter is less than the integer value here. Now, this X is like the GP, the grade point. So that could be one of those numbers, 0, 1.5, 2.5, 3. So what if it was a number like 1.5? What would happen is it would be converted to an integer here, and the 0.5 part would be truncated away or be rounded off, I guess you could say. And then I hope this makes sense to you. What happens in this line of code is what we do is we just print a star and we don't go to the new line. This just means don't go to a new line. It's just going to print a star and it's going to leave the print point at that place. So the next time you print something, it'll be exactly there. This is just adding to our counter. Now at the end, when we finish that, we're going to print a new line so that we get our 4 stars across there. And so, or however many stars it is. So if the GP was 4, we're going to get 4 stars. That's how those 4 stars are printed. That's why it's called stars. Takes in, so you took in the GP of 4, then this would print 4 stars. If you took in a GP of 3.5, it would print 3 stars because the 3.5 would be rounded down to 3. So that's that one. Anybody got any questions on what's happening on this? Now, why did I write that function? Because we use that more than once. if you look at the output of the program, you'll see that we do the stars here, and we also do it at the end. Your average is printing out the stars as well. So that's reusable code. So we might as well do it in a function. So we've got a function which just takes in a number, prints out the number of stars. The next one there is to get the correct course number. So what we're doing with that is we ask them to enter a course number. Here we're doing a lot of string manipulation. So we know that the rules for the course number are all built into this condition. That condition there is all the rules for the course number. So the course number has to be 8 characters, exactly 8, not 7, not 6, not 9. The course number has to be 8 characters. So we use a len for that. And we've got the course number, which is a string. We make sure that it's exactly 8 characters long. Then what this thing here is doing is here's the string's called cnum. And what this does is it says the first 4 characters. This is a way of saying the first 4 characters. Go from the start of the string to character number 3. First 4 characters. So it's the one before the 4. And so it's going to take the first 4 characters and they have to be letters of the alphabet. So they must be letters of the alphabet. Notice the ands between these. And then the last condition there, and these are all tied together because of the ands. The last condition is the last 4 characters. So that what this doesn't say the last 4 characters. It's from the 4th character to the end of the string. They must all be numbers, digits, 0 through 9. And so that's what's happening. Now, if those are not, then we go into the loop and we come up with an error message. And then we have to enter the course number again. And then this returns the course number. When this returns the course number, we know that it's a good course number. All right. Now, the next one, the next function is long, but it's just really, it's kind of simple. There's only 2 things happening in this big, long function. And what's happening is we've got a while statement to make sure that they put a number in that's between 0 and 100. If they put any number that's bigger than 100 or less than 0, then it's going to say, well, there's an error and please put that number in again. So that's what that does. That's what that while loop there is doing. Whatever number they put in, they get to keep putting it in until it's correct. So that's what that is. Then we've got this big, long if structure. And what that's doing is it's going to take that number, which we've already checked to make sure that that number is within 100 and between 0 and 100. We've already checked that. So once we've already checked that, then we know it's between 0 and 100. So what is it? If it's more than 90 or equal to 90, then you got an A and your GP is 4. But if it's not, so that's why the elif, right? If this is true, we do that. But if this is not true, then we go to this elif and we check this. All right, so it's not more than 90. Is it more than 85 or bigger than 85? In which case, you got a B plus and this. But if neither of those 2 are true, we go to the next one. And that's how the if elif works, right? First, is this true? If it is, we stop there and we don't do any of these elifs. The way the if elif works is we only do one of them. One of these things will happen, not anything else. If this was true, that's it. We finish there and we go to the thing afterwards. But if it's not true, we go to the next one and we keep going until we get something that's true. If we get all the way to the else, then that means that we've tried all of these and none of them were true. Then we just do this. So that's how that structure works. A big lot of if elifs. And then we just got to print, which is just going to print that. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to print it, but we wanted to leave the printing point at the end of that line. We didn't want to go to a new line because we wanted to print the stars. And look, there it is. There's that function that I was telling you about, which is going to print the stars. However many stars it is going to be determined by the grade point. So if the grade point was 1 or 1.5, it's going to print 1 star. That's the thing that we started off with. So that's going to, this is a call of that function to print the stars. And our last function, which is told you the GPA, the A stands for average. So this is just a function which calculates an average. So we start with a count of 0 and a total of 0. We get a number. The number here is going to tell us how many courses we've got. And here we try in this thing, and yeah, that didn't give us an error, but anyways, then so we're going to do we're going to do this loop as many times as there are as that number is. And what's going to happen there is we actually call those two functions there. This is the one to make sure the course number is good. So that's calling the course number. And then we've got another one here where we pass the grade to it and it passes back to us the GP. And the GP then is added to the total. And then we, at the end of that while loop, we calculate the average. This is going to be the average, which is just the total divided by the count. And so the average is the GPA, right? It's the average of the grade points. And so that is going to be passed out of that function, because here's the function call, right? Get GP. And that's going to pass out that number. And then you can print it. That's the program. The program starts here. This is where this program starts, right? What's going to happen is you ask the user for their name. They give you the name. Then you call the main function, I guess you could say. It's kind of like a main function. And that's going to do the average. But the important thing is it's also going to call these other two functions in it. And so one function is going to get the course number, and the other function is going to get the grade, and the grade is going to be added to the total. And that's how we're going to get our GPA, by taking the total and dividing it by the count. And as you saw, when we do that, we also print the numbers of stars that relate to the grade point. And at the end of the program, we print that again based on the GPA. So we print the number of stars at the for the GPA at the end. We print the number of stars just for the GP for each course. For each course, we print the number of stars for the GP. That's how I would solve that problem. Features of the solution, lots of functions, because I think doing it in functions in this case makes it so that the program itself is not too complicated. We can, so you focus on a function at a time. And hopefully, for example, you can look at that star function. You can understand what's going on there. That's easy enough. Then you do it. You can understand what this thing's doing. Well, that's easy enough. We just get a code and we have these three requirements of it. And if it doesn't meet those requirements, we put an error and we do it again. Then we got this letter grade function. And what all that does is we take in the course number and the grade. And we make sure that the grade is within the limits of 0 to 100. And then we get a grade for it. And we get a GP for it through using this LF structure. And then we print out the number of stars based on the grade point. That's kind of it. All right, any questions? Because what I'll do is, I think I've discussed that enough. Any questions there? That I'll just make sure that we've got a good look at the entire bit of code. So how that would go is I would create these functions. Hopefully each of those functions makes some sense to you. And then once I've done those functions, I've got the main, and that's your program. Okay, so that's what I think is happening. So thanks, folks.
I appreciate that.